Good morning. I would like to welcome everyone to the Education Professions Committee meeting. We welcome those of you in attendance. Thank you for your interest in the work of the State Board of Education. We have a couple of visitors here this morning. We would like to recognize Tracy Williams and Tammy White from Teach Right USA. Welcome. Committee members, you have before you the minutes from our August the 9th committee meeting. Is there any objection to approving the minutes as presented? Hearing none, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Next, I ask for approval of the agenda for today's committee meeting. Is there any objection to approving the agenda as presented? Hearing none, the agenda is approved by unanimous consent. We do not have anyone signed up for public comment today. Now, moving on to committee items. For approval today, we have two items. Our first item is a new educator preparation program approval recommendation, Presbyterian College Bachelor of Science in English for Speakers of Other Languages. We have Dr. Ritter with us today from the Office of Educator Services to present.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Presbyterian College has submitted a proposal for a new Bachelor of Science in English for Speakers of Other Languages, also known as ESOL, PK-12. After meeting with district leaders and surveying the needs of teachers in the certification field, the provider has developed the first degree program in the state leading to initial certification in ESOL. The proposal has been peer-reviewed by subject matter experts to evaluate program rigor and content, and the Professional Review Committee completed a secondary review and approved the proposal on August 11, 2023, ensuring that all state requirements for certification have been met. If the program proposal is approved by the State Board of Education, the institution will be able to enroll candidates beginning in the spring of 2024 during that academic year, and to recommend successful program completers for certification in the field of ESOL PK to grade 12.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Board Member Slaughter made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Board Member Cordray seconded the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries. Item 2 is a new educator preparation program approval recommendation, Teach Florence 1, submitted by Florence 1 School District. Dr. Ritter will present this item for approval as well.
Florence School District 1 has submitted a proposal for a new alternative preparation program entitled Teach Florence 1, targeting certification fields in early childhood, elementary, middle, secondary, special education, and PK-12 areas. The program seeks to help with the teacher shortage and teacher retention in the district. The district will recruit college graduates, paraprofessionals, and teaching assistants to become certified teachers. The proposal has been peer-reviewed by subject matter experts to evaluate the program rigor and content, and the Professional Review Committee completed a secondary review and approved the proposal on August 11, 2023 also. They also ensured that all state requirements for certification had been met. If the program proposal is approved by the State Board of Education, the institution will be able to enroll candidates beginning spring 2024 during that academic semester, and to recommend successful program completers for certification in the noted fields.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Just a comment, I'm a little familiar with that program as well, and I think that they've done their homework, and I think that all districts need to come up with similar kind of ways to influence people to get into the field of education. Our hope is that this will change the public's view about that whenever we see that we're starting so young and trying to steer people in that direction.
Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Board Member Cordray made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Board Member Slaughter seconded the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have two items that will be presented this morning for information only. The first one is Professional Review Committee, PRC, Educator Preparation Provider and Program Updates. Jacqueline Walsh from the Office of Educator Services will present.
Good morning, thank
morning.
you. I'll present just a couple of notifications that has come to us through the providers in our state as allowable by the state board. So to get us started, Newberry College will delete 3 courses in their Bachelor of Science program, leading to certification in mathematics. These deletions will cut down on the repetitive coursework and align with the credit hours for comparable programs in the state. The South Carolina Public Charter School District's Charter Inspire Alternative Certification Pathway will extend the participant application deadline from June 1st to August 15th. This will begin with the 2023-24 academic year and will better align with the hiring practices that are already happening in our state. Furman University will eliminate a Statistics and Measurement in Education course from the Master of Arts program in the fields of English for speakers of other language, literacy, special education, emotional disabilities, and special education learning disabilities. The course has been removed from each program because the content is really duplicative throughout the program. Furman will also eliminate an Organization and Control of American Schools course from the Masters of Arts and Educational Specialist degree programs for school principals. The content can more efficiently be delivered in other courses in the plan of study. Coastal Carolina will revise the plan of study for the Bachelor of Arts in Early Childhood Education to replace a second science laboratory course with an introduction to educational psychology course. Additionally, the prefix for the Childhood Education Foundations course will be revised from the EDUC to EDEC to align with their current program structure. Anderson University notified the South Carolina Department of Education that an out-of-state teaching placement for Olivia Walksmith, which was previously approved by the state board, will be moved from the school district of Wild Rose, Wisconsin, to the school district of Wapaka. Wisconsin-based, this is based on a university policy that does not allow student teachers to be placed in the same building with immediate family members, and they were unaware of that at the time. USC Upstate will update the title of Diversity Management Assessment to Assessment in Diverse Classrooms, which is part of professional program for early childhood education majors. The course description will remain exactly the same. The Greenville County School District's Alternative Certification Pathway, GATE, will add additional certification areas beginning with the 2024-25 academic year. The pre-K-12 certification fields include art education, dance, music education, choral, instrumental, strings, voice, and also theater. And finally, the South Carolina Department of Education will adjust the state accreditation review dates for state board-approved providers, Bob Jones University and Converse University. Accreditation and approval visits for these universities, originally scheduled for fall 2027, will now be held in fall 2028. This change will allow for the SCDE to have a total of 4 national accreditation reviews in fall 2027 and 2 state reviews in fall 2028. So it really just spreads our calendar a little bit more openly and more broadly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walsh. Are there any questions? The final item for information only is assisting, developing, and evaluating professional teaching results for 2022-23. We welcome Lila Toll-Mansager from the Office of Educator Effectiveness and Leadership Development to present.
Thank you so much, Chair Lee and committee members. We appreciate the chance to be here. Starting back probably 2016, 2017, the South Carolina Department of Education started exploring moving teacher evaluation and really principal evaluation to a system with a rubric that had a more common language, to a system that was more focused on coaching and giving immediate feedback versus waiting to the end of the semester and kind of giving you a portfolio with scores and really no feedback along the way. And we're proud that this came along with an investment in infrastructure that allows us to look at the data a little bit more closely. And so I'll start with some general teacher and principal data and then move on to the effectiveness data just to put it in context. Last May, a committee came together to study recruitment and retention in South Carolina, and some of the data we gathered there, I think, is helpful to understand the context. The graduates of our initial programs have been pretty steady through the years. Our traditional programs in colleges and universities are preparing about the same amount of teachers. But we do see an uptick in the number of positions that districts are reporting through that SARA report are vacant in August. We are seeing a huge jump in the number of non-certified teachers that districts are staffing in teaching positions. Even, I think those numbers were pulled in February, later in the year. And that could be, for example, a long-term sub who's covering a math class, or that could be someone who's working towards applying to an alternative certification program, but they're not there yet. Districts wouldn't be doing that unless they had to. We know that districts are working as hard as they can to find certified qualified teachers, and that just indicates to me that they're having to make some different choices and picking the folks they think are absolutely best to be with their children, but might not have those traditional certifications. And then we do see a slight jump in the number of the teachers that are leaving the profession, deciding to retire, going to pursue other work. So it's in this that I think the feedback that we can give teachers and the coaching we can give them along the way is really, really important. Even those folks who are staffed as teachers but aren't quite certified yet, they need feedback and support as well. We do see that over the course of the past 5 years or so, our percentage of Induction 1 teachers, so these are folks who are receiving mentoring support, they're enrolled in their district's induction and mentoring program, is pretty steady. We haven't seen a big jump in that number, but our number of principals who are enrolled in the principal induction program through the South Carolina Department of Education in our office is pretty variable. It hovers around 10%, but this is another bumper crop year. We have about 155 principals. There's a group of them at Park Lane today, and the distribution is different than what we usually see. Usually they're clusters of the state where you see, they had retirements. We see a group of new principals coming in, but this is the map for our induction principals, and the districts they come from are represented by a green dot. And you can see it's not just in the upstate, it's not just in the Midlands, it's not just small districts, it's not just big districts. We have new principals in a lot of different schools in South Carolina this year. We have 16 districts that have more than 4 principals enrolled in induction this year, and we have 5 that have more than 6 principals enrolled in induction this year. And so what this tells me for principal effectiveness and for teacher effectiveness is we have got some bright young folks who are ready to lead schools, but they may need different support than someone who's been leading a school for 20 years and has really brought along a lot of new teachers. These principals may need some help prioritizing going to see those teachers and giving feedback and making sure their team is aligned to do that. So if we look at the numbers, and I'll offer my apologies, I did not change the heading here, but these are overall results for 22-23, and I'll get that changed before we post it. We do see a slight decrease in the number of teachers who were met on their evaluation. It was 96% last year, it's at 94% this year. We do see a decrease in the number of incomplete evaluations, and these are evaluations where the teacher left or shifted to another school during the year. They were started, they got observed, and something happened. That was up above 3,000 2 years ago, and now we see a dip there. We do see a slight increase in the number not reported. I think 2 years ago it was at over 500. Last year it was around 230, and we do see an increase. part of that is we have a couple districts that didn't get their evaluations in time when we pulled this reporting data, and we've been working with them to do some corrections. There was some transition in HR, transition in superintendents, so those not reported numbers our team looks at and tries to get them corrected, especially for teachers who are on initial certificates. If we look at evaluation ratings, so in South Carolina, you're evaluated on your observations on the rubric and also on the goals you set for your students' growth, which is called the Student Learning Objective, or SLO. From 21-22 to 22-23, when we roll up the data to the state level, it's pretty stable, about the same percentage of teachers having observation scoring in that exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, or unsatisfactory range overall. We would expect this for a statewide system to be pretty stable if you're looking at 55,000, 56,000 evaluations over the course of years. Where we really encourage districts to look is the variability between schools. And we have a number of reports they can use to look at how teacher quality varies from school to school. When we look at where South Carolina teachers are really performing well on the rubric and where there are areas of growth, strengths stay pretty stable from last year. The highest scoring average indicators are content knowledge, respectful culture, and environment. Those areas of growth are thinking, questioning, and assessment. And when an observer goes in to see a teacher, they pick out one area. If you could work on this, we really think it would impact your students. And the area that is the highest for 22-23 is questioning. And we see that also showing up on the lowest scoring indicator. And so that indicates, especially from our office at the state level, perhaps doing more professional development around writing those deep thinking questions that are measuring the standards is someplace that we could look, and is a place, especially these numbers skew towards newer teachers, they tend to get observed more. That might be something that our early career teachers need some more help with. Pacing is something we'd expect them to need a little bit more help with. Grouping is something we'd expect, but questioning is something very concrete that we can teach and align to our assessments. For our principal performance, we also see a lot of stability from year to year in terms of percentages and where our principals are: exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, unsatisfactory. The thing that I'll highlight is for the last 7 years, the areas of growth for principals have been climate, effective management, and instructional leadership. Those are the hardest parts of the principal rubric. But climate actually improved in last year's results, and staff development made it onto the areas of growth. I think part of that is principals are doing a lot of staff development around literacy, around the standards, around recovering learning for students with those ESSER dollars. And so they're under more scrutiny, and teachers may have opinions about how that staff development is going. So I think that's where we see that coming in. Finally, we'll just say it is this time of year when we have finished our analysis of all of the plans for teacher evaluation for the coming year. These are results of those approved ADEPT plans. All of our 80 districts, including some of our special districts that report to us, did turn in ADEPT plans. They were all approved for the year, so they've all gotten started with teacher evaluation. One thing we're proud of is that they have to use the data system to report these results, but 73 of our districts, or 91%, choose to use the additional features so they can track how teachers are doing on those observation indicators. And we think that's a good sign that we're making a good investment in that infrastructure. The last thing that our office has really been invested in is trying to make this data more public to districts so they can make decisions that aren't just how are we making sure every teacher gets evaluated, but they can be strategic. How do we support new principals? How do we support new teachers? And so the reflection questions we've asked in ADEPT plans have become more nuanced around how are you differentiating for schools that might have different needs. This past year, we rolled out a dashboard that brings together report card data, some of the school climate survey data from inside the evaluation system, data from inside the certification system, so that schools and districts can compare where their vacancy rate, for example, is compared to other schools or districts that are like them. So the 22-23 data will probably be published in November after we get report cards published to everyone. But we're really proud that in partnership with a number of different offices, we've been able to publish this for districts in the past year. Are there any questions from the committee?
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to ask you, for a teacher that's put in a classroom that isn't certified, what is the requirement of that person for self-development? And what are the benchmarks and guidelines? And what period of time do they have to reach the certification level?
Well, in law, it's just not allowed. So the fact that we're seeing it, I think, means we need to change our support. This past month, in partnership with the Office of Educator Services, we published a memo about purchase service teachers, so folks who do have a certificate but don't work on campus or are only on campus part-time, encouraging districts that they need to go out and observe those teachers and be just as accountable for the performance of those teachers. The same thing happens with someone who is, say, staffed in 7th grade English but isn't certified and they're, maybe getting lesson plans from the team. We encourage districts, go in and see them, give them the support they need, and most importantly, work with them to figure out what's a path to get them certified.
Follow-up, is there any online resources available for those teachers to self-educate?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The state's investment in the Instruction Hub in particular, and all of those standards-aligned resources are really helpful for those teachers. And I don't know a single principal who has someone staffed like that who isn't giving them a ton of support both on the ground and with the technology.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
So you used a term that kind of perked my ears up a little bit, teacher quality. How do you measure that?
So we have, within the teacher evaluation system, we have a rubric that measures that. And so you go in, there are observable behaviors, there are 19 indicators that different observers gather evidence on. And it's really a combination of what the teacher does, what the students do, and then how the students perform. And so you're gathering evidence of all of that. In the South Carolina system, we combine that with goals teachers set around how their students are going to grow that year. So they meet together with an evaluator 3 times a year to say, here's how they did at the beginning, here's how they did at the end, here's how they're doing in the middle, and how I'm adjusting. And there's a rubric to rate, have the students grown enough, and has the teacher, importantly, participated in this reflection process to do something different depending on how her students are performing. So it's both how students grow and what we see the teacher doing in the classroom.
But very performance-driven.
Yes, I mean, it's
okay.
what is happening in those classrooms every day.
Because I really don't care what kind of great paper you've got. I've told folks many times that, some of the smartest people I know are farmers with a 3rd grade education, and some of the dumbest people I know have PhDs. So it's not, it's not necessarily the quality of your education, but what are you doing
It's the
with it?
proof in the pudding in
Yes.
those classrooms every day. And that's been the shift in South Carolina. We were a portfolio-based system. You could make a knockout long-range plan, whether you were a teacher or a librarian or a counselor, and it could look great on paper, but not be connected to your practice. And so this is much more focused on your practice.
Thank you, that's very reassuring.
And to further clarify that, I supervise student teachers. I know Ms. Kreminger does as well, and we use this very instrument that you are referencing. And I just finished this last week, midterm evaluations, and the classroom supervising teacher was involved, the teacher candidate was involved. We went through every item of the rubric and discussed what each of us thought was occurring on that particular item in the rubric, and it was incredibly helpful. And it was, fortunately, in my students' case, we agreed overall on most things, but when we didn't, we brought things of concern up, and it was performance. It was based on classroom observations, seeing them teach. The classroom teacher has the benefit of seeing them every day or several days per week, so it is very I think you would probably agree, Mrs. Creminger, based on your.
And as a retired principal, the SLOs that's the best thing that I have ever seen come through. I had some of the best conversations. Time consuming, yes,
Yeah.
it was, but great conversations with those teachers. And I saw them grow tremendously from those conversations with that SLO. So thank y'all for that.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to go tell Ms. Rashonda Frazier, who's our SLO coordinator for the state, she hears all the complaints. I'm going to tell her, you got a compliment today.
Absolutely.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Lila, thank you for this work, because I know it's been very intense. I want to ask, how closely do our schools, our higher ed schools of education, and your department work together to share this information and to see where the successes are and where the areas of need for our incoming teachers and all? How close is that relationship between higher ed education and K through 12?
I would say it's very close, especially for the South Carolina programs that have to get approved through the Office of Educator Services. The rubric is embedded in the evidence that they have to show, and then they use that evidence for their CAPE accreditation, for their national accreditation that they have to get, or if they're a private institution, for their state accreditation. We hold quarterly office hours to share with them some trends, and some of what we share is this data. So I think there's always room for deeper partnership, but we, especially on the evaluation data, I feel like the colleges and universities are well informed, and they come to our trainings. We invite them to our trainings and make sure that they're able to embed the SLO and the rubric, as Chair Lee mentioned, into their coursework.
To follow up on Ms. Allison's question, if you don't mind, the screen before that one, I believe, was the data, that screen. I have heard from universities that sometimes they have a hard time coordinating the data that they have to present, following up on teachers, and will this screen and screens like this help them gather the data that they need to meet the requirements that they have?
It's a great question. They have access to their own portal for both the certification system and the evaluation system, where they can access, where are my folks that student taught with me staffed now that they're out in the field? How did they do on their evaluations? And that's in our system broken down by program. The other data on this dashboard is really public facing. It's in the report card data. It's out there. So although they don't have access to this dashboard, between what they have and this, I think they have what they need, but certainly with Act 185 that passed last year in the legislature around the Ed Prep report card, I think we'll just get better and better at exchanging that information.
I hope so, because that has been a concern that was raised.
Well, and when you go through accreditation, the number of things they have to reflect on with their program and track down are huge. I mean, anyone who has that job is a guru with gathering the data and analyzing it and writing it down. And so I understand the pressure that's on them to get what they need when they need it. Sure, please do.
We have a feature in the provider portal. So all of our college and university providers in the state have access to a side of our certification system. And typically they use that to ensure that their candidates have been cleared to enter student teaching. We have a report feature that will be pushed out in the coming weeks that kind of expands so they can go back into any given student teaching semester and find out where those candidates, graduates are working, if they are certified, how they are certified, if they've been employed in South Carolina, their last year of employment in South Carolina. So it's going to allow them to track some data and to do some of those employer satisfaction surveys a little more readily. So
That's good
that's
to
in the
hear.
works and coming soon. So.
Thank you, thank you.
Could I ask one thing?
Certainly, Dr. Johnson.
I agree with Joyce. Some of the things that are part of this package now, as a retired principal also, are wonderful to help. I'm working with a couple of induction principals
who's responsible for their professional development as to how to use or even observation? You know, the ones that I'm working with are having a difficult time of determining during an observation what they should be seeing, or, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, now I feel like as we move through the year, things will get better. I know they will. It's early, but it is mid-semester, and they're having a real hard time as to, they do the observations, they go on, they're having the conversations, the conferences afterwards with the teachers, but I don't think they actually know what they should be looking for when they go. Is that a district responsibility, or does this, okay.
So it's a balance. Like much of new principal development, it's a balance. We're lucky in South Carolina that, in 1999, we put down a stake in the ground and said, yes, districts are responsible for onboarding their new principals. Here's what has to be in their onboarding. But the state is also going to require that principals come to us for 8 days, and embedded in that, one of the things Frank is talking to the principals about tomorrow is instructional leadership. How do you set up those systems for observation? What do we really mean when we say quality teaching, and what does that look like? So they have some conversations there, but the responsibility is really at the district level. We offer state level training on that initial, how do you use the rubric, how do you go in and observe teachers, but districts are required to check in with their principals every year and follow up on that. Luckily, there's a set of free courses inside of SC Lead, some of which are about the Marzano teaching rubric, but I think are easily applicable. How do you find good evidence? How do you script? How do you observe? So please encourage your induction principals to use those, because although it is a district responsibility, we want to have as many resources out there as we can, and we offer periodic coaching trainings where we have folks come back to say, okay, you got trained as an evaluator, but how do you really coach a teacher? If you've got someone that's really struggling, how do you help them? Versus someone who's doing great, but how do you get them to continue growing?
Well, this time of the year is the overwhelmed.
It's a crunch, and they feel bad because they haven't gotten in there before then. They haven't necessarily prioritized that time-wise. We are seeing more principals who served fewer years as AP coming in, and so some of that is also, in my mind, at-bats. They just haven't done it enough to be in that rhythm, and so practice will help. They'll be better next semester than they were this semester, because you never want to sit in a conference with a teacher and not have, that only happens once, sitting in a conference with not good enough evidence until you say, whew, next time I'm going to prepare more. Any other questions?
I have a question. The teacher development program that y'all have out there, is it one generic program, or is it geared towards where the teacher is teaching and the subject that they're teaching?
Good question. So this teacher evaluation is one rubric for everyone in any subject area, so it's the common things. But one aspect is, especially when you're a new teacher, being observed by someone who knows your subject well, so they can give you feedback on math teaching, et cetera. For the leadership development we do for teacher leaders, it really is come one, come all. If you're a pre-K teacher, if you're a high school teacher, we want to help you, give you those skills so you can help other teachers, for example, get better at teaching in your building.
A specific question for elementary school classroom teachers who aren't certified, who work towards certification. Is letters training integral to that, or is that still a vestibule type certification?
I think that anyone who is assigned in those schools that are going through letters training, K-3 is going through letters training, including the principals.
Thank you to all of our presenters. We will now ask for committee members to approve adding EP 1 and 2 to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to place action items 1 and 2 on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Board Member Harrington made a motion to approve to the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Board Member Slaughter seconded the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Is there any other business to come before the committee? Hearing none, we will adjourn. Thank you very much.